Hello, YouTube. This is Tammy Pie, and I'm back. I'm back with another video. I dropped my little I Ching coins, which I never use for I Ching, but it makes me sad. I am here. Let's do a little bit of citrine. I'm here with another video. This is going to be a VR mashup. And today is just the day that Miko is off on a play date, so I have time. Hopefully the light is good enough. It's kind of early in the day. This is a mashup of two VRs. One is by our very good friend Simon at the Hermit's Cave, which is the hashtag most overlooked decks. But the other is from a new channel called Rowan Here, spelled Roaen, capital Here. And her tag is Aspirational Tarot. And I really had a good time watching some of her videos. She's a very new channel, very less than 100 subscribers so far. Maybe she'll do more after this. And I thought it was interesting because she's very early in her tarot journey, obviously. I mean, I don't know how long she's actually been reading tarot, but she's only been getting decks for a little while. So her aspirations are very different from mine. It's on the opposite end of the spectrum. So she has 5 questions. I'm probably just going to do it in 4 questions. And while I do these questions, I'm going to show some of my most overlooked decks, or what I feel like are my most overlooked decks. I think once you have a collection of 100 or more decks, some of them are going to be overlooked anyway, but there's reasons for it, right? And part of my aspiration may be to work with some of these decks. So in the hashtag aspirational tarot, her first question is, what is my ideal number of decks? And Rowan said they thought 50 to 55 decks would be a good number. And I can see that. I remember a time when I had 50 decks and it was actually pretty comfortable. I mean, there was always more that I wanted. Oh, let's start looking at decks. So this is one of my overlooked decks. This is the Paulina Tarot by Paulina Cassidy, otherwise known as Paulina Faye. And this is my favorite of her decks. I have a couple of other ones. I have Spirit Song, which I just can't quit, even though I never use it to actually read tarot, but I just love how she set it up. This Paulina Tarot is my Mardi Gras tarot. It feels like New Orleans to me. And in particular, it feels like a Mardi Gras parade. This busy artwork just reminds me of the crowds and the fun of all the beads and the trash and the people during Mardi Gras, especially in New Orleans. Mardi Gras is all over Louisiana and Mississippi, really. But in particular, in New Orleans. So if I could have any number of decks, I would want to have like 1,000 or 1,200 decks. I would want to have really a giant collection if I could. If I could, I would like to have all the Paulina decks so that I could look at them and play with them and compare them to other decks. But mostly look at them because I think she's a great artist. I would have all the Robert M. Place decks. I would have all the Baba Studio decks. I would have everything Jamie Sawyer ever did. I would have everything Kim San ever did. Honestly, I would have every deck I ever traded. I'd have everything from Il Meneghello. And yeah. I would love to have a really huge... See how they look like parades? And I think the reason this is a deck that I don't pay attention to enough anymore, even though I really love it, it is modded. But not trimmed. I've seen this deck trimmed. But part of the reason this one doesn't get the attention I believe it deserves in my collection is because of where I keep it. I keep it in a special wooden box on my desk. Look at that. Look at all the little bugs and fairies and the things behind her and on the trees. Yeah. Okay, so that is Neglected Deck number 1, Paulina Cassidy's Paulina Tarot. And by the same, for the same reason, this one, the it's good. The Daniloff. The Daniloff Tarot also doesn't get a lot of play. Gotta have the curtain for the puppet show because it's always in this box, and the box doesn't. It's kind of right in the front of my tarot shelf, but it. I have to open the box and take it out. And I love this deck. It needs more attention. I promise I'm going to pay more attention to you, beautiful Daniloff. This is the first edition. Alexander Daniloff, I believe he's got a website now, but at one point you could only get his decks by contacting him on Facebook or Instagram. And those were the days. So that's my ideal number of decks, like 1,000 or 1,200 or maybe even a little more. And the second question for the Aspirational Tarot is, I love these 10s because they're all doorways. Gave me a different way of looking at tens. The second question is my ideal storage situation. So right now I have a pretty good storage situation. I've got my own little tarot room. I have my library shelf, and I have a bookshelf behind me where I can keep quite a few decks. I could probably keep 2 or 3 times the number that I have now on them. But you've seen my front room if you've been on my channel for a while, and my front room has built-in bookshelves. And some of that is books, and some of it is kind of blocked off by other furniture. And some of it is taken up by plants. But those built-in bookshelves could ideally hold a lot more tarot. And that would not be a bad thing, in my opinion. I would really enjoy having shelves of tarot decks, a library, as it were, along the walls of my house. Great court cards in this deck. 2 of coins. 6 of wands. Yeah. So deck number 2 that needs more attention, the Daniloff Tarot by Alexander Daniloff. Maybe during the spring, I'll spend more time with it. I used to play with that all the time when I had only 50 decks. So that's my ideal storage situation. Okay. At this point, if I did that, I think my son and my husband, maybe even, other people in my family would be like, what are you doing? Why are you covering your whole house in tarot? Even though they know and are supportive of my my practice, I think there's still some misunderstanding. This is the Stone Marseilles Tarot by Lily Stone. This is a great, tiny deck. So if Paulina is just tarot size, it's more poker size. And this is a Marseilles, which I know I've influenced people to buy. Has great cardstock. It's this kind of, it's thick but bendy, easy to shuffle. And I don't know why I don't use this more. I used to use this as a light and shadow reading with my Robledo tarot. But I just kind of fell out of habit using Marseilles when I got into kind of playing around with more RWS. And I miss it. I miss this one. It's so beautiful. It has those great, I think these are Dodal inspired. And the primary colors. It's a pretty classic Marseille, just with really exceptional color palette and cardstock. Beautifully produced. Yeah. So this one needs a little more attention, and I will try to do that this spring, possibly, maybe. Get back into Marseille, right? That's kind of the trick. Next question, and this is the deep one. How do I want to use tarot versus how I'm using it now? So I do some public readings. For a long time, I was really into, this is the Sacred Bee Tarot by, who's the artist? Sorry, Kelly Burton. Kelly Burton put out several decks. Honestly, if I could, I'd have them all, because I think her production is just wonderful. Nice box, magnetic closure, opens all the way. Good book. Even when you open it, it stays together. That's a big deal. So, but I'm not using it as much as I once did. I'm not on Instagram every day like I once was, doing a challenge or 2 or 3 or even 4 every month. Great court cards in this deck. Isn't that pretty? But this would look really good with the Fallen Angels Oracle. And I would like to have that joy of daily practice again, that feeling of discovery. So I think collectively the entire tarot community went through just this period of overwhelm and stepping back this winter, which is very interesting. It's like a real interesting time of change. And I want to do again. I would like to use tarot outdoors more. I've always thought it would be fun to take decks on my walk, and maybe because I do walks fairly often, used to be more before I was babysitting all the time, but out in nature. I've seen this done a couple times in the past, not lately. So that's one thing, one part of my practice that I would like to encourage. I am also interested in doing more live readings. I would like to find a home shop, whether it be here in town or somewhere close, where I could do more readings in person. I really, the more I do it, the more I enjoy it. But there's a trick to that, right? You got to find a good spot where you have that feeling, that I don't know, comfort. I got to be a little comfortable to read tarot, and I don't want to have to carry my table everywhere. I don't mind carrying a spread cloth. You know, I'm happy to carry a bag. I'd like to maybe have certain decks. So this is the Sacred Bee Tarot, and I need to play with this more. And tis the season. This is a great season for the Sacred Bee. Yeah, baby. God, look at that Queen of Cups. How fabulous is that? What a work of art. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Okay. Next. This is just one. I am not a collector of Patrick Valenza. More because, not because I don't love his stuff. I really love his stuff. But this is the Mildred Payne Oracle of Black Enchantment Blood Edition. This is the first time he put out the colored. And I took this out after I got it. I unboxed it like in the middle of the night. And I scared myself pretty good. It was good and creepy. So those are the extra cards you get with the oracle. But I love this one because it's oversized. Next to the Paulina, let's see. Because she's regular tarot size. So it's a big oracle. And my favorite deck of Patrick Valenza's is the Trionfi della Luna. I just like the regular one with the Marseilles. So I got this because I thought it went well with that pretend time period that he was giving us during the release of that. So they look like wood carvings, which goes with the whole atmosphere of the Trionfi della Luna too. But I love this deck. This deck reads better than you would ever imagine. You know, it looks very kind of it looks a little one-dimensional, but it isn't. And if I had my own chair in my own shop where I was comfortable, I would have this out. Anything Patrick Valenza, really. I would have this out during the fall months all the time. I think this is a great oracle. And I don't use it enough. I think maybe because it feels seasonal. It feels the red and the scariness and the blood and everything. But I think it has positive and negative to offer. I think it's a really good reader. And I need to use it more often. I just neglect it. Poor baby. And honestly, if I could, I'd have everything that Patrick Valenza does because I think he's brilliant. I love his decks. I would love to have a bunch of different colors of Trionfi. And I think he's really cool. Okay. So last one. And this is questions 4 and 5 are: what tarot would I have that I currently don't have, and what oracle would I have that I don't have? And I think I've answered that a little bit in the whole conversation. This is the Lonely Dreamer tarot. I believe this is the 2nd edition, final edition. Well, we'll see. I've heard that one before, right? And Lonely Dreamer, I got just before I went to Newt's last year, I just got involved with other decks. And then I got burnout and I stayed away from tarot for a couple of months and went through my Dark Night of the Soul. And honestly, this is probably a great deck for that. So I'm going to pull this one out for spring and not neglect it anymore. And if I could, if I had the money, the resources, if I owned this house, if there was nobody to say, hey, what the hell are you doing with the bookshelves? No judgment. I would have multiple editions of these decks, because I think if you look back at some of the decks that I do have multiple editions, they serve different purposes. They feel different. The first edition of the Wild Unknown feels completely different from the pocket edition of the Wild Unknown. The first edition of the Dame Darcy Mermaid Tarot feels completely different from Witchy Cat. But, you know, as artists grow, as tarot people grow, I would have all those I would have everything Jonasa Joust did. I would have... I know I'm forgetting artists that I adore. But my aspiration would be to have complete collections. All the editions. I would love to just have them so that I can pull them out and say, oh, you know, there was this great deck that was published 50 years ago. Oh my God, the super early Toths and the super early RWSs. I would love to have the handmade Marseilles that they're putting out now. Oh my God, some of the gorgeous decks that are coming out. I love it. But this one I do have, and it is not getting enough attention because it's a beautiful, deep deck that I think will be helpful in my continuing grief journey, honestly. It looks like a grief journal almost. I wonder if this artist was a little depressed, don't you? So that is my mashup of two very different tags from two very different channels. If you get a chance, support the little channels like Rowan here, and also keep supporting our favorite people who keep coming back to the camera, to the tarot table. Wow. Oh, these are so freaking beautiful. Year after year, month after month, week after week, to entertain us, for the most part for free. I mean, so helpful and so kind, and such a great way to meet other tarot folks. So that is the last one for now, and thank you for coming.